Today I thought we'd tackle a variety of candy suitable to fill an Easter basket for your 18-inch dolls. Join me and see how easy these projects are. Alright, I saw these little guys at Dollar Tree the other day for a package of little five of these little bunnies for $1, and I thought, well, maybe I can make a chocolate bunny out of this. So we'll see. If this is on the video, obviously it worked. So he's covered, they're made of styrofoam. They're covered in paint and glitter, and they've got eyes glued on and a little nose. So the little nose is just a little heart-shaped sequin. Lots of glue on these little eyes, so I'm going to use a knife, I think. I tried to pop one off earlier off another one. I made a big hole in him. I'm going to use a different eye when I'm all done. Oops. Try not to slice my thumb open. That would not make good video. Yeah, still made a hole. That's okay. So be very careful with this. This is an adult part of the project, not a kid part. Alright, so my thought is I'm going to stick a wooden skewer at the bottom. This gives me a handle. Now I can hold on to him and not get quite as messy. I'm going to glove up for this project because I really don't want to get gesso and paint and everything all over myself. So this is one of those projects that I like to use disposable latex gloves for. Another important thing in my craft room is a box of these. Alright, so the product we are going to use first is acrylic gesso. This is used, it's a primer, is basically what this is. It's used in a lot of art and craft applications to prime surfaces. It's used to prime canvas, raw canvas for oil painting. I use it in my art journaling, and I use it a lot in doll stuff. And I'm thinking some of these are thicker than others. This is a relatively thin gesso. My thought process is here that I can kind of cover up the glitter and fasten it down so it doesn't come up. Hopefully without losing too much of the detail of our bunny. This will also cover up the bright green paint. But chocolate bunnies, yeah, some of them are pretty detailed, but some of them really aren't all that detailed. It depends on the candy company. And chocolate bunnies come in all sizes, so that's, I think this will be a good size. I didn't need anywhere near that much gesso out, I guess. But I do want to cover up all the glitter and all the green. And since gesso is an acrylic product, it washes out of your paintbrush with just soap and water. And it washes off your hands too. It's just I didn't want to get messy. And of course today I'm not getting messy, and if I wouldn't have put the gloves on, I would have. Alright, so this needs to dry all the way, and then we'll paint it with a nice chocolatey brown. Alright, so now the moment of truth. I have some brown craft paint. This is just ceramic coat brown velvet. Just pick something that looks like chocolate. And I'm just going to coat this little bunny And I'm not sure, it might take me 2 coats, I don't know. But I think so far he's looking really cute. So we just coat our bunny with a coat of brown paint, let it dry. If there's white showing through, I'll give it another coat, but it's getting dark in here right now, and I'm not going to be able to film again later, so I'll come back tomorrow. So if I do need a second coat of paint though, I'll put that on tonight. So next time you see this bunny, he'll be ready for our next step. Alright, so here's our little bunny. I did put a second coat of brown paint on him last night, but he looks really good. So now we're going to use a clear satin finish. It needs to be a water-soluble one so it will not affect the styrofoam. And this is just one, I don't even know if they still make this. Just look for a clear brush-on finish. Make sure it's brush-on and water-soluble. I've had this for a long time, so I'm not sure. And I usually use a soft brush. I've got bubbles in this because I did shake it because I wanted to make sure there wasn't anything in the bottom of the bottle. So I'm going to, actually off camera I will blow on that, and that should clear up all the bubbles. So I'll be back when this is dry. Well, my clear finish is now dry. It looks pretty good. I think he looks like a chocolate bunny. So I'm gonna put eyeballs on him. I'm going to use Scribbles 3D paint. You could use a little no-hole bead. Basically, you could use anything you want to make eyes. I'm just gonna put these here. You could even put the little balls back on that we took off. The little eyes were on him when we got him. When this dries, I'll go back with a dot of black in the middle of each eye. You could add a little necktie, you could add whatever trim you want, and you've got a chocolate bunny for your doll's Easter basket. Alright, let's add some eyes to our chocolate bunny. So I just got the lid from my black craft paint and a toothpick. Should work. I just got to get it balanced so that I can see it and you can see it, and there. Get a little more paint on there. There. We have a chocolate bunny with eyes on him. Alright, so there he is all finished. I hope you enjoyed the bunny and are enjoying the rest of this video. Let's see what other candies we can make. Alright, for our next candy, we're going to make a package of candy. Now this comes from paperminis.com. To get this is actually one of Anne's free projects. All you have to do is sign up for her newsletter, and in the newsletter you get a link to all of her free projects. This is one of them. There's a whole bunch of them. It's a wonderful resource. This particular one has the 1/3 for the American Girl, the 18-inch dolls, 1/6 for Barbie, and 1/12 for Dollhouse, all on one page. And I've actually printed 2 of these on a paper before to save paper. These are super easy to make. I'm going to show you how to put this one together, how I do them. I've already pre-cut one out. Now I like to run a bead of glue along the edge. I'm not sure if this is the way Anne does hers or not, but I do them this way because this to me looks more like the real ones. And I ran a very narrow bead of glue right there. I just want to get that edge. Now, I'm only going to put glue on one end right now, but I'm going to go all the way around. You'll see why in a minute. There. Now, I know that this little flower is approximately my middle. I'm going to fold mine like this. And I'm only going to clamp this very end. I'm going to let the rest of it stay open. And I need this to dry. So I'm going to set this aside to dry for just a little bit so I don't have wet glue in there, and then I'll be back. Alright, so this has had about 3 or 4 minutes just for the basic glue to just set up a little bit. It doesn't need to dry yet all the way. Now I just have some cheap plastic beads. These are left over from a project years ago. I'm going to put those in here. And you can see there's still some glue that's damp there they're sticking to. I'm going to open my glue up. And once again, I'm going to go all the way around. And I'm going to clamp. Now this glue needs to dry all the way. And when that's dry, we'll have a package of candy that rattles around like it's the real thing. So when this dries, we'll be back. Alright, so this is ready. I usually at this point then trim off any where I've not lined it up, but we have candy that rattles, and you can coat this with a clear finish, even nail polish. Check your ink in your printer. Different printer inks react differently to different finishes, but you could put a clear finish on to make this shiny, and it really sounds and feels like the real thing. So I hope you enjoyed this one. Let's see what else we can make. Alright, now we're going to do some peeps. I know a lot of kids love their marshmallow peeps at Easter. This is another free printable from Anne at Paper Minis. The link, remember the link for her site will be in the blog post. And she actually provides you with paper copies of the peeps. So if you don't want to use clay, you can just do that. And I've done one of those just like that. There's the little bunny shaped ones, and I just glued them in. I need to fix my glue. My glue pulled away there. But this would be fine in your Easter basket for your dolls. What we're going to do is we're going to fill this box with some little traditional chick shaped peeps made out of some clay. So let me get my clay out and we can get started. Alright, once again we are going to use some Model Magic. I love this for things that are supposed to be soft because this clay, even when dry, is relatively soft. So we need to have, I've been kind of playing with the size and with the shape. We need 5 balls for the bases. I've actually got a peep here. I got yellow because that was the only color my grocery store had. So I've got a little yellow peep sitting there. We're going to make ours pink to go with the box, but you can make yours any color you want. So we need 5 balls, and I already worked out my size. I need about this size. We need 5 balls for the base, and then 5 more for the tops. So about that size. I've been playing with these all afternoon, trying to get them right. So I want 5 little balls, and then 5 more. The top ones can be a little bit bigger. And I noticed when I was looking at the peeps in the grocery store, they're not all the same in the packages. So it's okay if ours in doll size aren't perfect, because the real ones aren't perfect. So I'm going to make 5 more balls of clay that will be our tops. And they can be not that much bigger. They can be a little bit bigger. Four and 5. Hopefully, that one's a little small. Alright, put that back in the bag, and I'm going to fasten my bag shut before I go any further. Alright, put these off to the side. So now we have our little base, our little clay balls for the base. So really, if you look at this, it's just a flattened teardrop with a little point on the end. So we're going to roll it out, and we're going to make these 5 pieces into first a smooth ball, and then like a little cone shape. Oops, didn't mean to have it do that. I like that shape better. That one didn't come out quite the way I wanted it to. These really are a very simple shape. All right, now I'm going to start with this one, and I'm going to flatten it. And I'm going to pull this up. Ours won't have quite as much detail as the real ones, but that's because it's smaller. And yes, this clay sticks to itself, so, which is good because that is what we want it to do. Use a toothpick to kind of lift our little tail up. So we want these to be really cute. And we want to measure with our box. So we are a little wider than we want to be. That's okay, we can just kind of slide them in. There. So that's our first step. Now I'm going to use my knife because I want to lift them off of my tray so I've got a place to work on the top. So I'm just going to move them back a little bit. So now let's get ready to do the top half. Alright, so the top half is really just a little blob of marshmallow with a little beak on it. Not sure if we're going to get the beak. That's where I've been having the most trouble. So first let's make a nice smooth ball out of each piece of clay. This one is quite a bit smaller than the others. So is this one. Let's get just a little more clay out. All right, so we're going to make kind of a little dome shape here. That's kind of flat on the bottom. I'm just kind of using my fingers to kind of make a mound. Now, let's find a tool. Let's see. Maybe just a craft stick. We want to make a sharp that. We want to pull out a little beak. Let's make a point on the top and then kind of push it down there while maintaining the round. There. And then line him up. Alright, so we're pulling off, making a little point on the top. We're going to push this down with our toothpick, or not our toothpick, our craft stick. And we're going to line this one up with the next one. Point. down and put it down. One more. Oops. And this clay is very forgiving. If you mess it up, just roll it back into the ball and start again. It'll do. It's not perfect, but if you're not trying to do it for the camera, yours will probably turn out better. All right, so now we have those formed. Now let's give them some color. All right, so we're going to use chalk, and I think we need 2 colors of chalk because I tried to do this. This was the brightest pink in my set of chalks, and it just wasn't the right color. So I decided to try adding some purple to it, and it, on my sample anyway, it seems to come out a little bit better. If you're doing yellow, there's a couple of really nice, pretty bright yellows in there. But these chalks do mix together. You don't need quite as much purple. And since that didn't, some of those pieces came off a little big. If you notice when you're scraping your chalk, if you're getting big pieces, use a tool of some kind to kind of crush those. And we'll use the brush. Let's get a little more pink in there. And it does take quite a bit of chalk to get these coated. Yeah, I think that'll be it. Coming up a little more purple than I want, but I think that's going to be okay because what we'll do now, I'm going to glue mine into the box. If you're going to pull yours, like have yours out of the box, you'll want to color the bottoms too. But since I'm going to glue mine in, I'm going to leave the bottoms free. Now I'm going to get a wet wipe and wipe up that chalk off of my tray. Oops. And if I'm not happy with the color, I can always come back after they dry and mix the chalk with a little water and paint over them again. Now I'm going to see if I can get the pink over the top of that, so it's more pink than purple. Yeah, I wish I could have gotten pink peeps, but you know, I didn't even see any at my grocery store. But I think this is going to be a pretty good color. This one over here is staying a little lighter than I want it to. I'm going to go back in with my toothpick and kind of lift these little guys up in the back again. And now these just need to sit for 3 or 4 hours to get hardened, and then I'll come back and we'll do the next step. Alright, now that that's set up, the color's not perfect, but hopefully, you know, play with the chalks a little bit. We're going to put some eyes on, because each of these guys has a little brown dot for an eye. So I'm just using some brown craft paint. This is actually is this the one we had for that one? I don't remember. It's just a dark brown. The same one we used with Chocolate Bunny would have been fine. Any dark brown. And I'm just going to put a dot on the side of each of these little guys. There. There. Now that needs to dry, and then we can glue them into their box. All right. All right, so those eyes have had a few minutes to set up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run some tacky glue in the bottom of this little box. Then I want to make sure that I don't mess these guys up trying to lift them. And there we go. We have Peeps in a box. So I hope you enjoyed this part of the tutorial, and I hope you're enjoying all the candy making. Let's see if we can make maybe one more thing. All right, now for our final Easter candy. The favorite candy of my kids when they were growing up was always the different things wrapped in foil. So we're going to do that. We're going to start with just scrap clay. If you don't have scrap clay, use whatever clay you've got. We're going to put foil over this. It's not going to show. So this is just some white and pink. I have no idea what it was from. I'm going to roll it through my pasta machine at the thickest setting. And I've got this little oval shaped cutter. It's about a half inch by about a 1/4 inch wide. And I have some plastic wrap from the kitchen. We're going to make 2 different kinds of candies with this clay. First thing we're going to do is cut some of these. Now they're not exactly an egg shape, but for what we're doing, I think it's close enough. And you'll see me use this technique again later on another video when I show you how to make cookies. We're going to use the same technique through the plastic. Because what this does is it gives us a nice rounded edge. So I am going to put this clay off to the side, and I'm actually going to move it to my paper plate, and I'm going to put this to the side to bake. Now if it sticks to your tray, you can use a thin blade of some kind to pick it up. Sometimes it will stick to the work surface, sometimes it won't. Now, since I've got that cutter out, first I'm going to take these scraps and I'm going to roll it through my pasta machine on a number 4 setting, which is quite a bit thinner. Now we've already got this cutter. We're going to use this for portion control, basically. I'm going to take this cutter and I'm going to cut a bunch of ovals, and if they stick in there, just poke them out. Preferably not on top of your clay. And what this does is it assures me that all of my pieces of clay I cut are the same size. I do this a lot when I'm making things, and the shape of the cutter doesn't matter on this step. If you're just making these little egg-shaped candies that are wrapped up, it won't. You could use a round one, you could use any shape you have. Just play around with the thickness of your clay until you get the amount that you want. Now, I'm going to make a ball. And then basically, so it's a ball, and then just go like that. So we have little egg shapes. And I'm going to do that with all of these. Then I'm going to bake my clay off. Since I have no idea what this clay is, I'll bake it at 235 degrees, which is the lowest temperature for any of my clays. And I'll bake it for about 10 minutes. And when they're cooled, I'll come back. All right, I'm going to create some wrappers for my eggs while they cool. And what I've got here is just some aluminum foil from the kitchen. And I've got some Sharpie markers. And I'm going to use pastel colors today. Yeah, those are good. And all I'm going to do that blue one doesn't have much color in it. I'm going to kind of scribble. We're going to be cutting this up, but before we get that far, we are going to it doesn't have to be colored solid or anything like that. Let's get some yellow. I also have a few of the Bic markets. They're very similar pens. You could use your Copics or your Spectrum Noirs if you've got the fancy alcohol markers. Whatever you've got, they're all alcohol markers. They'll all work with the technique I'm going to show you, and they'll all work together. And I'm just kind of randomly coloring this with the different colors. You could do all one color if you wanted to. So I'm going to get this light blue to work again. Not really. I need to look at that one later. It's a neon one. I think the light blues are just not going to show on that paper, on that foil. Hot pink. Alright, now I'm going to grab a paper towel. This is just plain rubbing alcohol. You want to keep this away from your face, and you want to keep it pretty close to the foil. And we're going to let it do that. You could also just drop a cotton ball. Dip a cotton ball into rubbing alcohol if you wanted to. And do the same thing, but I'm going to use a cotton ball and kind of pounce around. And then once this dries, whoops, it will be ready to use. So I'll be back when this is dry. Alright, so this mess on my table is our candy making. So I have our eggs that we made, our flat ones and our egg-shaped ones. I have our foil that we just colored, and I also have some wrappers off of real Easter candy. You can use that too, obviously. For the flat eggs, we need approximately 1.25 inches square for each egg. We're going to lay them the domed side down. I mean, this is pretty simple. We're just going to wrap the foil around, and we can have a combination of the foil we colored and whatever Easter candies, you know, you've got foil from. Lots of variety. The dolls can have lots of variety in their Easter basket this year. So I'll get down to one of the ones I colored and get that on one. It just depends on what you've got on hand and what style you want to do. If you've got Easter candy, use the wrappers. It is a little tough to get the wrappers off without tearing them, but that just means we have to eat more Easter candy. I'll do one more. I love this bright one. There. So now let's do some of these little eggs. For these guys, we need about a 3/4 inch square approximately. And just wrap it around as smoothly as you can. With these, sometimes it helps to kind of roll them in your hand, kind of smooth them out. Let's do one with some of this on it. I've got that piece a little too big. Whoops, don't run away here, egg. I'm going to cut this one down just probably about in half. And they don't even have to be, squares of foil. You can just have the corners. Yeah. The foil that little egg has a flower right there. But super simple. Each wrapper gave me you know, depending on the size of the wrapper, gave me multiple wrappers for our little doll size ones. Yeah. Alright, so it's that simple. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video with all the Easter candy. I hope your dolls get a Easter basket filled with Easter candy. Be sure and check the blog post for more hints and tips. Join us on Facebook. And if you look on the blog, next to the blog, up on the top, kind of on the bar on the right hand side, I've added a new little gadget. It says talk to me, and that allows you to email me directly through the blog. So if you've got questions or you want to send pictures of stuff you've made and you don't belong to Facebook, send them that way. I love to see what you're working on. Come again next week and see what we make then.